Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So my very first video will be on the neurons anatomy. So the first thing we have to worry about is the structure of the neuron. So here I have drawn a neuron with all of its features labeled. At first we have the nucleus, which is in the middle, packaging of proteins and other materials in the Golgi apparatus, protein synthesis happening in the ribosomes, and mitochondria is for your generation of ATP. So initially what happens is that we have an input that is received by the dendrites right here. Then it travels to the cell body, where it may or may not lead to an action potential. And depending on the stimulus, it may lead to an action potential at the axon hillock. So now I'm going to go through all the features of the neuron. Here, at first, we're looking at dendritic spines. These are little small appendages that come out of the dendrites to increase their surface area for contact to other cells. So this way, this neuron can actually receive multiple connections and signals from multiple neurons, and it leads to a summation which travels down to the cell body. This is the dendrite. Once we reach the cell body, we have the mitochondria and other organelles. We have the nucleus, and at the beginning of the axon, this is where all the summation occurs. So by summation, I mean that when the input and depolarization comes in through the dendrites, as it's traveling, it's weakening, but at the same time, the multiple inputs are getting summed together, which then leads to a complete summation at the axon hillock. And when the summation is strong enough, it can lead to an action potential, which means that it needs to reach a threshold of usually negative 70 millivolts to reach an action potential. So here we have a myelin sheath. So basically these are specialized cells that wrap around the neurons to increase their speed of action potential. So they kind of insulate the neuron. So basically the action potential is jumping from nodes to node. And these little gaps in between these myelin sheath are called nodes of Ranvier. And then once the action potential reaches the terminal, it can release neurotransmitters, which then bind to the dendrite of the next neuron. So basically this is the whole anatomical feature of the neuron. Now I'm going to go through each one of the feature in particular that I haven't covered so far. So I did talk about myelin sheath, but there are two different types of cells that exist throughout our nervous system. So in the central nervous system, we have the oligodendrocytes, which wrap around these myelin sheaths. And in the peripheral nervous system, we have Schwann cells. They're called Schwann cells, and they wrap around just the same way as oligodendrocytes would in the central nervous system to increase the action potential speed. And also one more thing to note is that the axon terminal is also called presynaptic bouton. So this is the end of the video for this basic structure of the neuron, and if you guys have any questions about this, feel free to put a comment at the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe so you guys can get updates on new conceptual videos.